Okay, all right. Um, ah, fake it till you make it. Herzlich willkommen. Yeah, it's in English today, but ich darf ja auch meine Mitmenschen auch auf Deutsch begrüßen. Aber gut. Okay. Ah ja, okay. Genau. So, yeah. Maybe short words about the live talks. So, honestly, I've been very busy the last week. No, but I basically incorporated a lot of stuff. Before I was a little bit wondering what to do because, as you know, I don't have like one very active game I pursue 24/7 at the very moment. But I reflected and just came to the conclusion what I could do otherwise. I mean, obviously there's always business stuff going on and also some other things, family or sometimes meeting friends and stuff like this. But it was never like for full time, like for 24/7. Like keeping me busy 24/7. As you know, I want to be productive, and I didn't have something where I could be productive all the time. But I changed this, and I will learn languages now. In my, I mean, actually, it's pretty funny because, I mean, funny, but it's just that, as you know, we have July at the moment, and it seems that pretty much everything is on hold until day X. And day X is different for different things. As you know, I'm playing very intensively one game which is not published yet, and I practice for that a lot. I practice for that a lot, obviously, and there's also a lot of stuff going on, but obviously I cannot talk about those things. But I assume that, I mean, there's always stuff to do in this area, but I assume that maybe a full release or whatever really, I mean, the time where it makes sense to put all of the time into this game might come, and I don't have any insider information. I'm just guessing, might come, like my own guess is like might come whatever. November, December, maybe January, I don't know. But I believe for me, like just to think about my own time investment or time commitment, that this will begin for me for a full-time commitment maybe in October. Yeah. So probably before a release. Yeah, obviously. Good. So if you are talking October, we are talking 2 months plus of not being able to put all the time into it, or let's say it makes less sense to put all the time into that. So that's at least 2 months. Okay. As you know, I want to also take a look at the Gwent Homecoming. I know there have been a lot of jokes about the Gwent Homecoming thing. But again, I would really love, once it's been released, to try it out a lot, very intensively, until we come to the conclusion we want to play it or we don't. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know, I haven't followed the scene, like the Gwent scene, but I guess, I don't know. I mean, you're probably more informed than me about that, but it's probably also 2 months, right? So what I'm saying is if Gwent Homecoming would have been released 2 months ago, we could have just played Gwent Homecoming all the time and then still decide, but we would have had something to do. While in this case, it was kind of a waiting queue for the one game and also for the Gwent Homecoming thing. So basically being already in 2 queues. And again, there's a lot of business stuff going on, but actually not at the very moment, but it's rather probably beginning to become busier in October, maybe November. like regarding the real estate things. So again, the same thing. Yeah, I could probably do that full time, but just not at the very moment, but rather in 2 or 3 months. So I'm feeling a little bit. So I felt. I mean, because now I could order that a little bit for me. But let's say the last 1 month or the last 6 to 7 weeks, I had been in kind of limbo. Yeah, that I didn't have. I mean, just think about it, right? So I'm used to do something productive for around 100 hours per week. If it's not 100, it's definitely around 80 to 90 hours. Okay, and usually, as you know, I want to do the things which I do extremely well. I put all my time, or most of the time, into one area. And the reasons for that are obvious in a competitive game, or generally in competitive games, because you gain nothing by not being on the top. So if I would play some game, and let's say, whatever, let's take Hearthstone. Yeah? If you would have been top 100 or something in the world, for example, it would have meant nothing. Yeah? I mean, you would have not been invited to any tournaments. There would have been no exposure at all, because why should? And that would have probably also costed 40, 50 hours a week, but with no real meaning. Yeah. So what I'm saying is it's senseless to do some like competitive game for 40 hours a week, at least from my perspective, or in my opinion. Yeah. Either you do it full, or you don't do it at all. And the same went for Gwent, obviously, as well. But what I'm saying is, if you're used to spend, I mean, we used to spend these 80, 90, 100 hours in Hearthstone every week for, I don't know, 2.5 years or 3 years. And after that, we did the same in Gwent for a year. And then suddenly we didn't have a game where we could put in these hours. And suddenly, instead of having these 90 hours, I suddenly had these 90 hours as free exposure, zur freien Verfügung, ja. As like available as a resource, but at the same time, it's kind of weird to fill these hours. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, Steve is saying that we played Prismata intensively with the same pensum for around 1 month, and actually we also had another little game in between. We played. The name was Feria. So I also played Feria for 2 weeks, totaling around 160 hours. Was also successful. I think we hit like top 3 Europe there, which was cool. But yeah, Feria in the end did make it. And we played Prismata, I think 3 or 4 weeks. I'm not sure. But we spent a lot of hours there, 300 hours. Cannot say that I wasn't satisfied with the performance there. In the end, I mean, there were like 2 big chunks of players. One were those who played this game for years, like 3-4 years, and there was another chunk of players who just came in new. I don't know. I mean, in the end, we were, I think, top whatever 30 or something. But above us were only players who played that game for 3 years, so I don't think that was too bad. The audience for Prismata was also not, let's say, insanely big. So that was this. And there was Slay the Spire. Yeah, we also, actually we played Slay the Spire kind of a little bit competitive, if you want to say so. There is no competitive scene in Slay the Spire. But yeah, we played that for, I don't know, intensively for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And had also very good win rates there. So that was also cool. But you get the point, right? So there was no area to canalize or to catalyze these hours into after playing all these games. Yeah, there were also other games. We played some XCOM, we played some Don't Starve, and that was a lot of fun. But again, if there's no competitive scene, it kind of is a little bit of a joke to try to play a game competitive if it's not competitive. I mean, if there is no competitive scene, obviously. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, and that actually dragged me down quite a lot in the last, yeah, as I said 5 or 6 weeks, but probably it's longer, honestly. Honestly, it's much longer. Yeah, it's basically, yeah, probably since February even. Yeah, it's probably a rather 5 months. So forget these 6 to 7 weeks. Yeah, I'm just saying the last 6 to 7 weeks because in these 5 months of not playing, of not playing Hearthstone or Gwent, whereas we quitted Hearthstone obviously quite earlier, since now 1.5 years, I think. In these 5 months, or within these 5 months, there were also periods where we played games, very intensive. Yeah, so I guess the last time where we stopped playing the last game, I think it was Slay the Spire. That is probably like around 6 or 7 weeks ago. I don't know. But yeah, so it was actually feeling a little bit in limbo, because if I don't have, and I already had this as a topic in, I mean, for those who are watching also my very long talks, they know if I don't canalize or catalyze this energy into positive things, it usually becomes negative energy or drags me down a lot. And that was also the case. I didn't feel very well in the last 6 or 7 weeks. Yeah, I'm not feeling very well in the aspect of, I don't know, it was rather not about the body, but rather about the mental thing. Yeah, that I had the feeling of struggling or not improving as I would like to, or not, not shaping the consciousness enough, or just improving as a person, or developing as a person. Yeah. But fortunately, and that was also one of the reasons why I said, okay, if I have nothing to do, I can as well do live talks every week on Sunday. And we did some of them, I think 6 or 7, 7 probably. But since last week, and also because of my bicycle trip, I ordered these things and realized, okay, hey, that's actually not a bad thing to not to have stuff to fill. And this is also one important thing. Yeah, I forgot about that. So it's not, if it would only be about filling those hours, like finding a new dedication or a new passion, I don't think that would have been so problematic. But the problem here is that there are 3 things in the queue, namely these real estate things, that's the business side, but also Gwent Homecoming, and yeah. Which means filling this time or finding a new passion would also mean to opt out of the other things. And since I didn't want that, yeah, because I want to try out these 2 new games, or 1 new version of the game, but Gwent Homecoming will probably be nearly a new game. I don't have any information about that, but I guess so, right? And because of that, I couldn't just find a new passion and fill my hours. Yeah. Okay. And this again dragged me down, but in the last week I reflected about that and realized, okay, that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? It's not just, okay, now you don't have anything to do, so that's a bad state, and you're wasting a lot of hours doing nothing. I mean, I tried to do stuff, but usually that ended in weird YouTube sessions, and yeah. So yeah, rather seeing that as a very nice and good and big opportunity, namely to do all the stuff which I usually don't do. Yeah, for example, playing Slay the Spire, that's obviously one thing, like playing games which are very good, which I just didn't have the time to play beforehand or before. Because as long as JJ and me, we play something very competitive, we don't have time for anything else, because we are playing that game we are dedicated to non-stop, every day, all the day. And yeah, I did that, but yeah, I'm out of good games, and that's a good thing, because now I can basically focus on also other stuff, maybe a bicycle trip, where I can just say, okay, I'm now vanished for 2 weeks, and I just do something, and that would have been never possible if I would still be in a specific game in a highly competitive field. What I'm simply saying is, after, I mean, I put also poker onto that, because the transition was poker like 7 years, and then directly transited I mean, I wanted to make a sabbatical, but it turned out not to work because I played first XCOM, and directly after XCOM, I started to play Hearthstone, and the rest is history. So there was no sabbatical in between. It's basically 7 years of poker, and then there are like 3 years of Hearthstone, 1 year of Gwent, so 11 years of highest pace. So it's actually quite a good thing that through a miraculous way of things aligning, I suddenly have the possibility to chill for a few months. But chilling doesn't necessarily, of course, only mean chilling, but or doing nothing. But I concluded for me that I would really love to learn the one or the other language, or to perfectionize it, or to make it, to improve it. And this will be also my main focus for the next at least 2 months. So my plan is to completely learn a new language and to improve the ones I can already have a conversation with. Okay. And that being said, maybe I will stream from time to time, but not very often. Yeah. So because there's just nothing to stream. If you think about the stream was, the English stream obviously is always very bounded on games and also very educative. So, which means I love to analyze these games, to break them down, to also try to solve them as much as possible, and then basically transfer the knowledge I could gather in these analytical hours, and just share the erkenntnisse, just share what I found out. But that's obviously only possible if we play a big competitive game, and otherwise there were, of course, also the live talks. But also talking about the live talks, I think I also talked about the topics I wanted to talk the most about, and where I also had the most to say, like where I felt the most competent with. And I also don't want to have live talks about stuff where I'm not an expert in or something like this, because this would not match my general my general approach to the quality I want to also deliver in this stream. Again, the old thing, I'm well aware that we could have probably have more watchers or viewers if I would troll more in the stream, or if I would decide for other things, maybe put nice pictures while I'm talking, or all this stuff, but this would just not be me. And there's a lot of other content out of YouTube. So if you want something like this, if you want to become just entertained without thinking, that's the wrong channel. Okay, so what Steve says, be a Fortnite pro. Thing is, I think JJ already tried, and he was not very pleased with it. Like, he said, it's nonsense. The kiddies, they are practicing every day, all day, only aiming, and it's not for him. But he enjoyed it, I think, the beginnings of it. Oh, there is the Gwent Open running at the moment. Yeah, as I told you, I'm completely on pause for the Gwent scene at the very moment. I didn't want to sabotage. I mean, what I'm saying is, if I would have known that, maybe we could have also, um, yeah, just talked about it the next Monday. But okay. Yeah, Mr. Frager says learn Spanish. That's the second most spoken after Chinese. But I was also thinking about, yeah, for example, Mojo Project says learn Polish and I was thinking about that actually because I realized also on my bicycle tour, yeah, you know, I cycled to Bratislava, like Slovakia, and then to Hungary, over Serbia to Croatia, and I just realized, okay, maybe it's not important to speak the language which most of the people speak in the world, but rather to speak the language where you have the most contact with, people-wise. Yeah, so it might be that, I mean, okay, I also learned some Chinese anyways before I went to China. Like that's anyways. But for example, Chinese and Spanish, it might be that those are the most talked languages in the world besides English. But if you don't have any contact with Chinese people or Spanish people, then it might be better to learn another language. So I am really thinking about Polish to learn that. Yeah, not only because CDPR is in Poland, but just because it's very nearby, and I also plan to travel there maybe again with a bicycle. So yeah. Yeah, I was also thinking about improving my English, but I have to say, I mean, that was like waiting whether, I mean, I could improve my English, but I could also learn a new language. And yeah, I decided that it's probably better to learn a new language than improving English. Hmm? Homeworld? Yeah, I will check this out. AZ said JJ was bad at Fortnite. Yeah, JJ said otherwise. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What about? Yeah, I can speak and understand Japanese. Yeah. Um, I think there are also some language levels. I guess my it's ordered in. I think it starts at A1. I mean the categories in language learning. You like internationally it's it starts as A1, which means very basic, very basic, and then it goes A2, B1, B2, C1, C2. Yeah, and C2 is very good. Yeah, and my Japanese is probably B2, probably around that, which is perfectly sufficient, but might be cool, since I'm also half Japanese, might be cool to also improve that a little bit. Legion, yeah. I will paste all the games. Maybe I will try out one of those. But again, I'm rather. Yeah. I mean, if you learn a language, I think there's. I mean, many people think, okay, you can only learn 1 or 2 hours, but I want to also experiment with this in a regards that that I'm not sure whether that should be. I mean, there might be some input stop, but I don't believe that, because we could also, I mean, if we had the ability to practice games for 13 hours, also not only playing them, but also thinking about them and analyzing them, I really want to, test it out myself, whether it's not maybe just possible to learn a language 12 hours a day. Now you might say, oh, maybe it might become boring, but I mean, you can also have different things, right? You can have a language program. I'm using Rosetta Stone at the very moment. I feel that's very good for the foundations. Then you can also look for a tandem partner. You can have a teacher in this field, and then you combine everything. And in the end, you might be able to fill a lot of hours. And I'm just curious how fast you can actually really learn a language which you haven't spoken before if you focus on that for something like this, 10, 12 hours a day. You wake up, you learn the language, you learn it in the noon, in the afternoon, in the evening, you do that for a month. And question is whether you suddenly can speak. I mean, suddenly, but you get the point, right? Yeah, and I also learned Chinese with Rosetta Stone, but my Chinese is really what I was talking about that, right? I think I spent around 50 hours, 60, 70 maybe with this program in Chinese. And that's probably when you get A1 or something. I think it's really, really basic. And I was actually really sad because, as you know, it turned out that I have been visiting China, I think, 5 times in the last 3 years. And the first time I was thinking, okay, I could learn the language, but it's probably not worth it because, hey, I mean, when will I probably go to China again? And then I went to China 2 months after that. And I was like, hey, it was so stupid not to learn it the first time. But, well, I mean, it's very unlikely to go there again. And yeah, now I've been there 5 times, every time like around 1 or 2 weeks. This was actually kind of a little bit, I felt really regret about, I mean, the decision, but I should have learned it, yeah. At least to a level where I could have talked with the people there, because many of the Chinese people still, many of them can also speak English, but a lot of them also cannot. And I like to just also go into, if I visit a country, I don't want to go from hotel to hotel, but what I love to do is just to go on the street and experience how the city really is. And I have to say that very few people, let's say, on the street are talking English, which meant that I had very, very big conversation problems. I actually couldn't have very often I just couldn't have a conversation when in these many weeks. And yeah, that's a sad thing, because that also means that you don't learn the country from a side it really is, if you want to say so. Naja, because it's already a selection. If you say, okay, I'm only surrounding myself with people who are talking English, that's already, I'm not talking about a positive selection. I'm just talking, it's a selection, right? It means you basically, it means you minimize your circle to the very fewest people. Yeah. And that's obviously something you want to avoid, because if you say, okay, I visit a country, and only want to surround myself with English speaking people, you will realize that this is very often just a very similar experience. And you might have sometimes friends who visited a country and didn't speak the language of the country, and they came back and they said, hey, everything is as it is in Europe. And you're like, what? And yeah, and this is of course what can happen. Yeah? If you only visit 4 stars, 5 stars hotels around the world, they are all the same. Yeah. And that's obviously a very sad thing. Yeah. Sure. Okay. Anki software. Okay. Check this out. Yeah, how to learn. Yeah, I would really advise to use some kind of language program to get the basics in, but definitely also in combination with a tandem partner. Preferably a tandem partner who can speak the language you target as their mother tongue. And then you just meet them once a week, twice a week, and have a conversation with them. Ah, yeah, okay, sorry. Here I have to disappoint a lot. So, if I was talking about speaking and understanding Japanese, I cannot write or read neither Chinese nor Japanese, which I consciously didn't do. I don't know whether that's a mistake, but I felt that it's much more important to be able to speak and understand the language. Because I'm not reading the newspapers, but I would like to be able to talk with people. Mr. Freigeist says, what deep question, do you also believe that every human could have also been born as an animal? My understanding is that every human has been born as an animal, kind of. I mean, only because we are saying we are not animals doesn't doesn't make that true. But yeah, I guess everybody should make their own mind about this. It's indeed a deeper topic. Okay, couch surfing. Yeah, maybe I will try it out at some point. And there is some Duolingo. Yeah, I will check. That out as well. Okay. Uh-huh. No, there is no any information or in the interview I can give you about Artifact. As a matter of fact, I'm not even playing that game. Okay. Mm. What if I ever came to? Okay. Mm. No, exactly. Yeah, I'm targeting just speaking and understanding. Yeah, that's my main focus because I think that's what I want to have, and I don't think I need the ability to write and read. I mean, it would be nice to have, but if this takes the same time as, yeah, you get the point. Yeah, yeah, I got that it's Australia. Yeah, okay. Okay, and since we also have the AMA, please shoot questions at me because this will probably be the last stream in quite a long time, at least quite long internet time. Yeah, in real life, 2 months or 3 months would be nothing, but as you know, in the internet, that's like eternities. I heard about some YouTuber who tried to make a vacation for 2 months. I'm not sure. I don't know whether he did it, but once he said, "Hey, I'm now off for 2 months." His fans they like threatened him, like, don't believe that we are still there in 2 months and stuff like this. And I was like, yeah, I'm lucky to, yeah, not to have, like, let's say such a wide community that these weird things are happening. Okay, I don't know whether you heard about that, but I was like, yeah, what the heck? Okay. Then you will see me back at games. Yeah, again, like the next competitive, a very highly competitive game will be ours. I mean, will be ours to play, and maybe we will also be successful at it. Yeah. So when this will happen, I don't know. I mean, as I said, I mean, you're probably more informed about that. In the, yeah, there's always some rumor kitchen, and as soon as Gwent Homecoming comes out, of course we play this a lot. Or again, if there is something like some other big game which might come up, then that's our focus as well. And then I will of course also be back streaming a lot. Favorite car and why? Now, as you know, I love my Mercedes SLS. Why? Because it's amazing. It has perfectly my size and it's minimalistic and I love the design. I always loved it. That was also the reason why I bought it. And I haven't regretted it yet, or until now. And I love the car so much that it was also never the question whether I would like to exchange that car or whether I would like to buy also other cars as well, other sports cars. Was never the question. I'm also very satisfied with always having one thing, like one of whatever. I never like to have 2 or 3. Whatever. If you have one good watch, I think that's good enough. If you have one sports car, that's good enough. I mean, obviously that's good enough. Yeah, most people don't even have a sports car, but you get the point. I mean, there are also some people who have 10 sports cars, but I feel that's a little bit silly. And yeah, okay. I'm also a big fan. We now purchased the. Yeah, you might now trash talk the car because it's kind of weird. It's like a Cayenne hybrid. You might trash talk that because the idea of driving some like hybrid so that you do a little bit for the environment and at the same time, of course, driving a big SUV might not be yeah, on the same page. But I love this car because we have Yeah, most of the ways are just pure electric. Yeah, I think the battery has capacity for 22 kilometers, and most of the city tours are exactly that size. In the garage, we have something like we just plug it on, so we never go to a gas station or something. It's pretty cool, and I love the design. I love how the comfort. It's a very, very cool car. Okay. Whether I drink coffee or some other form of caffeine. Yeah, coffee, but not after 4. Yeah, others say kein Bier nach 4. I mean, which is like, I think there is no real English equivalent, but I say no coffee after 4, whatever. Okay. Yeah, that means also no live talks from next week on. Yeah. Unless I want to talk about something very urgently, but otherwise not. Yeah, okay. Because there are some questions about the continuation of the live talks or about not streaming for longer time. Again, there is not. I mean, maybe I might stream a game which I find awesome or which I will play all the time again. I mean, we also played some Frostpunk, right? That was also cool. So if I find something where I think, okay, that's really worth streaming, I will, of course, do so. But it's really like my focus to deliver quality. So if I stream, I would also like to stream. Yeah, it's just my approach that I want that if you watch this stream, there's always something going on, and I don't mean something going on which I made up, but really something going on, some message, something very interesting, or something with high quality. And if I cannot deliver any of those, or if I think I don't have any of those, I will also not stream. Yeah, it's not that I feel comfortable streaming no content. How often I have been in love until my current wife, obviously she will probably, hopefully also stay my wife forever. But how often I fall in love? Interesting. Yeah, I don't know because it's obviously, yeah, a question of intensity, right? It's just a definition. Some will say, oh, that was already being like fall in love. Some will say the yeah, the category is way lower. So yeah, but I think in general the first ones, or the first one is probably, I think the first real one is probably where you still don't have the idea that you could ever become disappointed, and that it will of course last forever. And yeah, once you had the reality check, you will have automatically also another approach to the topic. At least that was the case for me. Yeah. So the first time I fall in love was obviously different from the others because there you had also some weird perceptions. I mean, weird perception, but you know. Yeah. And once you went through the circle or cycle with the relationship, some things become more, yeah, obviously become different, right? Because you also have experienced already some things. You experience that love can also fade away, or that a relationship can also become problematic in the one or the other way, maybe also faster than expected, stuff like that. Many popular streamers have lied about being ill so they can take some time off. Okay, okay, that's weird. What is the hardest decision I have ever had to make? Interesting. I don't know. I think I rarely had, I mean, it's a perception thing, right? I rarely have the idea that decisions are too hard or something. I mean, decisions are just something you have to make in your life. And yeah. Hmm. I mean, there were a lot of decisions where some people would have maybe said, okay, that's a tough decision or something, but it never felt like it. I don't know. When I moved from my little town in South Germany to Berlin, that was my first. I moved like I spent my life in this little town until the age of whatever, 22 or something, and then I moved to Berlin. Yeah, and yeah, maybe that might sound like a tough decision, but it didn't feel like that for me because it was a conscious decision and I didn't feel like missing out something all the time. And then we went to London 1 year later, or 2 years, no, actually 2 years later. And some might have also thought, okay, like renting a house in London and moving from country to country might also be tough, but I just felt it was necessary. And if it's necessary, I mean, it's not a tough decision because it's a necessity. Same went also for the other things. Maybe some things like whatever, quitting poker while it was still very lucrative might have been a tough decision. But at this very moment, it was glass clear. I just couldn't cope it to do that stuff. Not from a playing aspect, but just from yeah, as you know, from an ethic moralic aspect. Once I thought, okay, that's wrong what I'm doing here, it was not a decision any longer. Yeah, if I think that what I'm doing is wrong, I stop doing it, right? And stuff like this. Yeah, or maybe also stopping Hearthstone, right? That was, of course, a move, and also, of course, how we also stopped it. So it was not only to say, okay, we are stopping Hearthstone now, but it was rather to say, okay, we are stopping it and we will also never play it again because it was so, yeah. The whole construction also, how the pro players got treated by Blizzard, also their tournament philosophy was so off that we said, okay, no, we are not only stopping it, but we will also never return. And yeah, that might have, I mean, it definitely had a lot of impact, but whether that was a hard decision at this moment, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, for me, things happen, and again, you have to make decisions. And once you do them, it's usually also it's usually quite clear. Yeah. I mean, sometimes you also delay the decisions until they become clearer. So we could have probably already, I mean, the direction of Hearthstone was already wrong 1 year before we quitted the game. So if we would have not believed what Blizzard is telling us, like JJ and me, we could have also quitted it 1 year ago. And after that year, it was just clearer and to the point where it was not a problem any longer to make the decision because it was, yeah. It was not a decision any longer. And with that, I don't want to advise to just delay the decisions until they are made for you, because sometimes they are not made for you. What I'm saying is if you just decide to stay in your home village, maybe nothing will ever force you to leave your home village. And maybe that might just block your improvement as a person or personal growth. But very often, if you delay decisions until they are really being made for you, you will usually also draw the short straw. Because usually that also has as indication that they're not being, yeah, that you're not, that it damages you more to delay decisions which you have to make than if you just make them right away. it's better to have, ja, in Germany we say it's, ja, besser ein Ende mit Schrecken als ein Schrecken ohne Ende, which means it's better to end stuff even if it has slightly negative implications, or even if it has negative implications, than if you just delay the decisions and in the end everything goes wrong. No, I don't have any tattoos. And I'm happy that I don't have any tattoos, because otherwise I could not visit the awesome onsen in Japan, because people with tattoos are forbidden in them and they are really awesome. Yeah, I don't know. I never had the urge to yeah, to have any. No, I'm not saying I will like Went Homecoming. I'm just saying that we will commit ourselves to it until we figure out it's great or until we figure out it's not. What Grand Open just ended and was a shoot mirror. And is it true that Colin Moen won? That's pretty cool. I like Colin Moen as I think he's a very strong player and he is also very sympathetic. So yeah, if he won it, I'm very glad he did. Yeah, sharing the language learning with the chat, making a language stream. Maybe I will think about it, but honestly, at the very moment, I would just embarrass myself. So, yeah, maybe, yeah, I will think about it. Whether I'm doing sports like I do. I mean, I'm doing a lot of cycling at the very moment. Yeah, JJ is also chilling out. Yeah, JJ is at home at the very moment. Like at home, I mean, he's living in Vienna, of course, but at his family's place, chilling out. Yeah, or maybe one big topic a month. Again, yeah, I will maybe collect some things to talk about. That can very well be. Or suddenly I'm streaming a game which I found awesome. Can definitely happen. Yeah, we have also played Factorio. Yeah. Ah, my wife is in the chat. Okay, very good. Okay. Um, and I'm not under control, guys. I'm completely a free man. Okay. What was my last culinary discovery? Honestly, I have been once in England, in nearby London, around 60, 70 miles from there. There is a restaurant called Fat Duck. And my wife and me, we have been there. We got invited by a friend because yeah, we did him some favor and he wanted to say thank you. So, yeah. And the food there, I have never seen that good food in my life again. That was pretty sick. Yeah, you got a lot of courses, but it was like an experience. I think it was like 5 hours or something. It's completely crazy. Yeah, I talked about this poker and unethical a lot of times, but I can maybe just shortly. It's just pretty simple. So, I mean, actually, it's everything, right? But yeah, the thing is, you believe what you want to believe, anyways. And if people are playing poker, they will laugh about what I'm saying. In the regard that it's very easy to justify yourself. What I'm saying is, for those who think it's weird or unethical, yeah, they've also already made up their mind. But in general, it's about the utility of a person. So yeah, at the end, like at the point where I quitted, I think I netted, I don't know. I mean, it also depends on the month, but in average, probably at that point, it was still 60, 80, maybe still 100K a month, but around this, yeah. Um, let's say around 80K. And which means I could play a year of poker and net 1 million. Okay. And that would increase my life quality not a lot, if at all. Probably you, yeah, probably nothing changes, nearly nothing. But at the same time, to net this $1 million, you probably have a lot of people paying in these $50 or $100. How many? Thousands. Obviously, now you could say, yeah, that's probably 10,000 people paying in $100, but it's not really true. Yeah, because there's a thing called rake, and rake is the fee you pay to the poker site, and on, let's say, one chunk of earnings, there is probably around 9 chunks of rake. Now, some people might say, yeah, but how can this be? I mean, it's one chunk of winnings, 9 chunks of rake. Is it not much lower? And yes, of course, in the direct transfer, like if I'm playing against somebody else with a lot of money, obviously in the direct transfer it's not 1 to 9, but the poker economy works that money is being carried up. So people pay in $100, they play low stakes, they play whatever, NL 100, NL 50, and which means $100 is one stack or $50 a stack, and they will be exploited by people who are playing on NL 200 level, NL 400 level, which is insanely low. They are really playing extremely badly, but whatever. Yeah. So money will work up to the NL 400 players, but they, once they made some decent money out of that, they will think, okay, they are the heroes, and they go to NL 1K. And there, then again, they will distribute the money to 1K, and from there to 2K, to 5K, to 10K, and so on, right? Until it reaches the top level, which could be played. That was at the main poker time, where you could make the most money. The top stakes were 100K per stack, but in the end it was whatever, I think 10K when we quitted. Like one side still offered 10K, the others were kept at 5K, one was kept at 1K, whatever. Yeah, and in this process, which is usually on full ring and short-handed tables, a lot of rake will find the place to the poker side. And in this process, probably what I'm simply saying is a factor of the winnings is going to the poker side with also no real added value or whatever. Yeah, they do advertisement for that, or they do whatever they do, but it's definitely not adding any product. Yeah. Which means, yeah, so there are 100,000 people, like if you say it's 1 to 9, it's not only 10,000 people paying in these $100, but it's probably 100,000 people paying in these bucks. And those people don't have the money, yeah, out of different reasons. But usually somebody who pays always money into a poker site, I mean, it hurts them the one way or the other. Either it's really substantial and suddenly they are lacking money for food, whatever, rent, maybe they cannot buy their children certain stuff, certain toys, whatever. Or others are really not having these problems, but the money still hurts them. And yeah, I think that's weird as fuck that you say, okay, I'm playing this, and then again, there's the other side where you can say, yeah, but they are all conscious, they are all 18 years old, they know what they do. But my experience is just not. They don't know what they do, and I mean, it's also not that they would be aware of the fact that they will lose the money in so many cases, and in very rare cases they will, yeah, win money which they lose afterwards again. Yeah, so what I'm saying is it's just also it's not even a fair game, because you also have an information advantage. Yeah, that would be us playing Gwent against somebody who just started off or who plays Gwent since 1 month, but he cannot really identify how strong we really play. I mean, we are not playing against him, but let's say he carries up the money to somebody who plays Gwent since 1 year, and then we are playing against him. But yeah, again, poker is a game where you cannot exactly see how strong your opponent is. You can see it if you're stronger than your opponent, but you cannot really see it if you're weaker than your opponent. You just see, you just can see that he does weird stuff if you're the weaker player. You see the stronger players doing something different, but because human nature is that you think that what you do is right, is the right thing. And obviously you think that, because if you would think that what you do is the wrong thing, you would not play like this, right? So you're seeing your opponent is doing constantly stuff different than you do, but you believe the stuff what you do is right. Yeah, then you believe your opponent is, of course, a weaker player. But chances are that you're wrong about that. And if you're wrong about that, you just lose your money, which means it's basically exploiting information disadvantage. And by exploiting information disadvantage, you basically exploit, in the end, hundreds or thousands of players for which, yeah, where for them the money is much more substantial than for you, yeah, or what it was for me. Yeah, and then the question was simply whether I want to spend my lifetime, I mean my lifetime, or the time, like whether I want to spend another year or another 2 years of my lifetime doing that. And I came to the conclusion that no, that I don't want to do that. Again, I mean, yeah, sometimes, I don't know, if you go to any kind of poker firm, they will laugh about it. They will say, yeah, but they think they are the heroes anyways. It's through all levels. No matter what you read, if you read a poker firm, everyone is the master of disaster. And yeah, whatever. Yeah, let's change the topic. Okay. What are the major factors that will affect? Yeah, you know what the major factors are, like always. Is it competitive? If it's not, then it's not for me at least. Can you also display the competitive aspect? As you know, the last letter was kind of that you needed to amass a lot of quantity as well. So it was not only measuring the quality, but you could basically compensate with quantity. Not, of course, completely. If you only outputted quantity without quality, you could not succeed. But in the end, you could at least buffer a lot of quality with quantity, which meant, yeah, for those who are more familiar with the ladder system, it meant that if you played, for example, 1,200, 1,300 matches in a season, with being, let's say, very good, but not world-class level, you could compete with somebody who played, for example, 500 games per season. On a world-class level, for example. Yeah. Something like this, of course, I'm not a big fan of, because I'm the opinion that you should not be able to compensate too much with quantity. It's only one example. Yeah, there are many different. But the more skill-heavy a game, the better it is, of course, and the more possibility for skill display you have, the better that is as well. Yeah, there is, for example, the I don't know who came up with that, with this reset thing, but it basically works that, yeah, you always reset and then all the mices are running into the one direction again. And yeah, that should lead to more traffic, and I'm sure it leads to more traffic. It's just not what makes the game competitive. Yeah, if you just imagine if you would reset the ratings of chess every 2 months, I mean, that's ridiculous. And I'm really curious who came up with this idea. But as you know, Hearthstone, I'm not even sure whether that was the first game who did resets, but it was at least the very first very big card game. I mean, there was also MTGO, which didn't do that many resets, I think. But yeah, Hearthstone had monthly resets, and Gwent obviously also every 2 months. But I think that's not very helpful for a competitive aspect. Yeah, because it also means that you have to amass this sample size for measurement in a very short time. I have talked about that a lot, but we will just see what they come up with. I also have to say that after Hearthstone, I also lost a little bit, let's say, the illusion that you can also have a very big impact on a production company, which means, I mean, obviously we had quite a good impact on Gwent, and I'm also happy about that. And that's also a very big strength of CDPR, that they are also listening to what the community has to say, what the pro players has to say, and it's amazing. But I think probably, yeah, I mean, for me, the conclusion was rather that that I just check out what they come up with, and if it's good, awesome. If it's not, I'm not the guy who will complain a lot about that. Yeah. It's just that probably that game won't be played then. And the same also goes for the fresh new game, which will come up. I don't spend a lot of time trying to influence the way or the direction of the game, but yeah, and of course you give feedback for the games, but yeah, trying to have, basically what I said, trying to have a big impact to get the game very much in the direction you want to have, I think that's probably illusionary. No, I don't take updates on Hearthstone anymore. Or I'm not interested in the Hearthstone scene any longer. What makes the decision hard is your own emotional involvement in your current situation. Yeah, but that is what I meant. I mean, if there's some necessity to make a decision, I think it's also okay to put your emotions a little bit behind and just think about what's the best solution or the best course of action. But I mind meeting fans in Vienna. No, I don't mind meeting fans in Vienna. Whether I would exchange all my money to be biologically 20 years younger again. Interesting. Have not thought about that. But I think having a lifespan is also something what is like something healthy, that the life is finite. Whether I have bad habits that I'm aware of and unable to make myself get rid of them. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. So if I'm aware of some bad habit, I always try to combat it, fight against it, and get rid of it. And until this very moment, I have pretty much always succeeded. Yeah, the nicotine addiction sometimes gets me again. Then I begin, I don't smoke cigarettes since a decade now. And I cannot imagine, I tried some, I've not tried, but I smoked some cigarettes somewhere in between, like few, like being counted on one hand. But I sometimes begin to vape again. and then of course immediately try to get rid of it. So it's not that it's like this. It's not always easy to get rid of your habits, but I try my best, and I also never conceded to something where I was thinking I should change it. That I said, okay, I cannot combat it or I cannot win against it, so it is what it is. I never had that. Oh, okay, just making sure that there are some onsen which allows it. Yeah, I have been to different ones which didn't allow it, but I'm sure there are also some where you can have. Yeah, I don't know. There's a little bit political. I don't know. But I go to Japan often. Yeah, I try to spend, let's say, 6 to 8 weeks in Japan and Tokyo every year. Okay, Coleman won and played really well. Yeah, as expected. Okay. Well, I have ever considered getting into trading stocks. No, no, most of my money comes from trading stocks. But okay. Mm. I mean, trading as an investment, I had quite a lot of luck there, which was also pretty cool. Mm. Okay, that's about the language. Okay. Yeah, but why Vienna over Berlin? Yeah, it was never Berlin, by the way. Like I was thinking to move to Tokyo or to Vienna, and yeah, decided to just do both, living in Vienna and also being in Tokyo for a few months a year. Ja, in Berlin, die haben so eine Schnauze, also ich meine, they're not always, let's say, the friendliest. I know some people might say, okay, it comes from the heart, so if you know them very well, they are friendlier. And we also had a great time there. I mean, it's multicultural, but there are also some things about Berlin which are so and so. What I'm simply saying is, let's say, yeah, I was thinking for upbringing the kids, Vienna might be more suitable than Berlin. Ah, Comedian Success Blumenthal is an amazing chef. Yeah, 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 definitely. Okay. Hmm. Would I have quit poker if it was still as profitable as it was at that time? Yeah, absolutely. Japanese shogi. Okay, no, not yet. But I will write it down. Aha, Kaustus asks a new game or I quit games. Yes, probably if neither Gwent Homecoming nor the new game will be something which will grasp my attention, I will probably quit playing games. And I mean, playing casually, yeah, but quit playing them competitive. But I guess, yeah, because it just, I mean, I'm 36 now, and yeah, some might think, okay, that's already quite old, but yeah, I think as long as you're still having your thinking primed on card games, I guess it's rather an advantage. Yeah, again, the 7 years of poker, after that some 3 years Hearthstone, 1 year Gwent, which means 11 years, but full focus on card games, which is a lot and more than other people can actually even have. What I'm saying in regards on similarity, I mean, there are of course always a lot of similarities between card games. And as you know, we have an analytical approach, which means if we would be empirical players, it would not make like the biggest difference. Obviously, we would have already some neurological connections, which means we could probably approach a new game faster or learn it better. But the real edge just comes from this analytical construction, which is and can be used for any game, which means we always have a head start, no matter what game we play, which is pretty cool. Which also explains why we are very quickly good at different kind of games. It's not because I'm I'm very talented at that. I mean, I'm obviously also hopefully not like dumb, but it's rather about all the analytical knowledge and all the constructions I've built up on the approach to different kind of games, which I can then utilize also on other games, and that makes it so yeah, so how do you say that it can flourish that quickly, or building up the skill set can flourish so quickly, or understanding games can be easier than for others. And as a byproduct, I can also use those things in real life as well, which is pretty cool. But I think I have some gaming addiction. No. No, absolutely not. Yeah, because for me, games are not, I don't play them to kill time, but I play them for a reason. And if there is no reason, I don't have a problem to just quit a game or just not play that at all. No, I don't have a direct morning routine, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I get my cereals every morning. Maybe that counts, but it just, if I wake up, I want to eat something, I drink a glass of water. I mean, that might count as a morning routine, but I'm just thirsty after the night. Okay. What, or whether I have an idea on the life as a whole is meaningless, or the presence of humans in the universe is meaningless. Yeah, sure, it's meaningless, but it's meaningful for the humans at least, right? But yeah, no, sure. I think it might become very easy to be disillusioned about those things, like about life, if you think about it too much. So yeah, maybe it's better not to think about it too much, because it's true. Yeah. I also think if you you might realize that it's at least less than what people might want to believe, like how important life is or how important we are. Not even the human race as a whole, but also you yourself. Yeah, our approach is to have the belief that we are so impactful or that every person counts so much. But yeah, if you do a reality check, we will very often come to the conclusion that it's not. And yeah, sure. So maybe the approach is maybe just a vanitas principle, that you just say, okay, I try to enjoy my life more maybe, or just take it as a fact that it's not so impactful, but that it's completely okay that it's not that impactful. What is with this Bazaar game from Reynard? Is it already published, or what's the thing with that? And is it good? Yeah, it's more long-term property. Yeah. Top 3 favorite beers. I don't drink alcoholic drinks because I think they are bad for your brain, surprisingly. And I think the brain or the human mind is the asset. Like if something distinguishes us from the animal, it's the ability to think. I mean, okay, animals can also think, that's clear, but so obviously maybe there is not even a distinction between animals and humans, but if there is, it's probably the mind. And I try to do everything to preserve my mental health or the ability to think. Whether it's personal, my views on parenting, whether I want my kids to become something or is it up to them? Yeah, it's up to them. I am the opinion that you should definitely give them options. And of course, that is not, you should be so sensible that you realize where they might be more talented, and then you should definitely give them the options to do so. So whatever, if you realize, hey, I don't know, maybe your child is very athletic, so maybe you go bouldering with the kid one time, and maybe she or he likes it or doesn't. And if the kid likes it, then you try to get this opportunity more often. So you go bouldering more often. And if they don't like it, yeah, then you just don't do it. But definitely giving the options to flourish. The name of my online broker. Yeah, I'm on an Interactive Brokers, and I like them. It was never a bad experience with them. It's also my broker since many years. The fees are very okay. Yeah, and sure. Specifically the FX fees, if you make currency exchange. A lot of rich people tend to get arrogant over time. Is that just normal? And do you find yourself experience that on yourself? Of course, I can buy myself anything I want. Okay. No, I don't know. I think it's pretty silly to categorize people with money, or even sillier to categorize yourself of your money you got. What I'm saying is, you're talking about high self-esteem if they do stuff like this, but I think it's just very weird, because if your identity is over your money, who are you if you don't have that money? it's rather like quite a sad thing if you say, okay, I categorize or identify myself over that. What I'm saying is you make yourself rather smaller than bigger. And the other thing is also, I already find it very silly, like this categorization anyways. Yeah, because I mean, you're saying, okay, this guy is a millionaire or this guy is a multimillionaire. I mean, they are also not like, you also don't say if somebody has like, let's say 200,000, you don't say erst ein 100,000 there, like he's a 100K heir. I mean, what is that for a categorization? I feel it has, yeah, basically what I said. Obviously, it's very cool that you can buy stuff to improve yourself, but that is what I meant. I was once talking about the luxury to buy yourself knowledge, buying books on Amazon. If I want to read a book, I can just go on Amazon and I will have it 2 days later. I can just type it in, I can press on order. I don't have to watch the price. If the book costs 20 bucks, so be it. If the book costs 30 bucks, I just purchase it. And this is a freedom I didn't always have. It's like 15 years ago, I didn't have that freedom at all. I went to the library if something like this was the case, and if it was some newer book, the library didn't have it. And that also meant that I ought not to read that book because I didn't have the 20, 30 bucks to buy the, maybe I would have had that, but it was not, I mean, you get the point, right? I mean, yeah. And then those things are for me like the difference, that those things are the things where I feel like, yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, that's a very big advantage of having money. But you can also already see that this is also possible with less money, right? So once you can purchase everything you really need, it's not important any longer. And this is also what I always say about these different aspects of life. If I think money is an important category as long as you don't have it. But once you got a decent amount of money, like as much money, so much money that you can buy like the essential things, like which are essential for you, money only becomes one of the aspects, one of many aspects, one probably of a dozen aspects where you want to be successful. So what I'm saying is, if you only be successful in the monetary area, you mastered probably 8% of life, because it's only one of 12. The other ones are that you always try to self-develop yourself as a person, but also in the mind. Another one would be to be a human being who has who tries to act after positive, moralic, ethical views, or like your views that you also try to develop. Right is of course not always right, but you get the point, so that you're rather a rounder human being there. One aspect would be probably acknowledgement from others, but I don't mean this like, oh yeah, you are so cool. I don't mean that, but rather I mean the deep acknowledgement that you're a rounded up person, that you can, I don't know, yeah, maybe you can speak different languages, but that's of course not that's only one measurement. I mean, not only because you can speak a lot of languages doesn't make you that person. But what I'm saying is, if you're interested in things, if you develop yourself there, maybe one part would be family, and upbringing of your kids. And then there are also many other parts, right? And if you take like it in a big picture, money is somewhere small, somewhere. I'm saying that because many people never get the transition from that. They, as you know, this is the big fairy tale which the Western European culture, or also the American culture, gives you at hand. So they say, okay, money is everything, and that's like the fairy tale, that's the holy grail, and you're running after that your entire life. Many people are never successful, so they can not even see behind this lie. But the people who are successful in monetary areas also very often don't have the ability or the reflection to realize that that's only one area of life, and then they are just spending also, despite of them having the ability to switch now and also spending a lot of time in other areas and trying to improve those, they just stick to the monetary area and waste their life in that, which I find kind of sad very often. Okay. Artifact announced a $1 million tournament in February 2019. Yeah, we will stay hyped for that. Let's check out what this will give, or what will happen there in these aspects. Mario Rabbit Kingdoms. An educative game. I will check this out. Yeah, this you can nearly set up for nearly every topic. Yeah, not at fast-paced shooting games. Maybe even there, but I would have not have the ability to, for example, I would be probably better at macro, but obviously, if you say fast-paced shooting games, very often they are micro-decided, which means if you don't have the micro to basically do what you had in mind to do, you will still lose every game. Yeah, where what I wouldn't gravitate once gaming is done. Yeah, I don't know myself, because if I would know, I would probably already work on it. But I'm very certain that we will find something. Ah, he's still getting investors. Yeah, good, okay. Then we might just wait another 2 years. Rackful invested his life savings in Bazaar, are you sure? Okay. Oh, there is a new Attack on Titan series. Yeah, I usually watch the series after they are done, because I hate this watching one episode, then waiting a week, watching another episode. I don't like that. But most of my friends have wishes that they can buy money, and if they think, what should I do? And you don't have them, whether that's bad, no, that's whatever. Whether there's anything I would do different. Yeah, sure. With more information, you do stuff different. That's life. Hmm. Yeah, I'm also skipping some questions now because I think it's already, yeah, we are already soon hitting the end, or at least I want to also go to bed at some point. Hmm. Did I play Slay Spire Ascension 15 for a longer time, and what was the win rate? No, yeah, we did all the runs on stream, so you can just rewatch them on stream. And I think we played maybe 20, 25 Slay the Spire runs on Ascension 15, and the win rate was a little bit above 60. I think we had like 62, 63% in them. But we only played the silent. Yeah. And that was, because I know there are always some updates, that was roughly 2 months ago, I think. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure. I mean, I will probably also stream whatever I will do, but just not that often. But let's stick with the games we will play soon, hopefully. Um, yeah, hopefully soon. Yeah, if there is some great game, I will definitely stream that, sure. Huh? How many hours of sleep for me? Ha, a lot. I sleep every day, every night 9 hours, and like this is what I target, because I also have the feeling that if I sleep less than 9 hours, I'm feeling not cognitive fit. Mm. I know that, yeah, common talks are that most sleep between 7 and 8 hours. I don't know. Some other opinion is not needed to sleep more or something, but I really have the feeling that my mental level goes down a lot if I don't sleep these 9 hours. But maybe that's also because I'm doing a lot. Obviously, yeah. Maybe my day is also more packed than others, so I have to maybe, yeah, maybe I have to process more in the night. I don't know, or memorize more. I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, we are. If there are no, yeah, I know I also skipped some questions. So, okay. Hmm. Yeah, thing is, if I would develop a game, okay, it won't happen. I won't develop a game, and the reason is, yeah, because I don't have a lot of experience in that. That's first of all. So I would probably suck a lot in that, anyways. Yeah. So But I don't mean, I mean, probably, yeah, probably I would be okay in the game writing and stuff, but you know, the whole programming process behind that would probably suck big time. So yeah, probably that would be bad. And the other thing would be that if I would think about building a very nice competitive game, it would probably not be played a lot and therefore would be probably a very big, I mean, at least financially seen, a big fail or big failure. And that being said, I mean, there is already one of these games out, yeah, which is Prismata. It's amazing. It's just not very, yeah, you don't get the bonbon, you don't get, yeah, it's not very easy to play it, obviously, because it's freakingly competitive. And yeah, that's, I think that's probably already enough as a reason, right? And what I would very much hate myself to see is to lose quality on the game to scale the quantity. I mean, that's exactly what I hate about games, right? So yeah. But I keep you up to date on language learning efforts and how it works for me. Yeah, definitely. So at the moment I have in mind to learn Polish. I have spent around 4 hours already. So absolutely no knowledge at the very moment. And I will begin, once I quit the stream, I will probably make another half an hour session before going to bed. And yeah, I hope I will be able to have a conversation in Polish in 1 month. That would be awesome. But from the Dark Knight says chess already has proven that you can have a really simple game. Yeah, but then again, how big is chess really? I mean, and then it was also at a time like where other things were not possible, like computers didn't exist when chess was big. I know people are still playing it, but I don't know whether I would take this as the sickest example of having an insane skill cap and at the same time being very casually accessible. But it's possible, obviously, yeah, and that should also, of course, always be the challenge. So I, for example, hope, really, really hope that one of these two games will be exactly that. Will be very competitive, but so nice to play in many aspects that you will also have a very big casual base as well. Yeah. It's not impossible. Never said that. The best would be a combination of both. I think Dota is, for example, doing it, right? That's a great game for competitive players. Like the most competitive players are in that because it's so competitive. But at the same time, many million of people are playing it. Of course, more people are playing League of Legends, like more casual players. But again, I mean, Dota is also very, very big. So what I'm simply saying is the combination will probably usually lose a little bit of something. So maybe if Dota would have gone the more casual way, it would have not been that competitive nowadays, but maybe it would have been bigger than LoL. I don't know. Yeah, but I'm very happy that they took the approach and that's also why I hope that they will do the same in Artifact. Yeah. Yeah, chess is literally over 100 million players now. But the question is how like of the active players, how much chess do they really play a day in average? Yeah, I'm well aware of the fact that most of the people can play chess, but that's not the thing. The question is how many really played and how much. I mean, I've never done it, but you can probably check keyword wise. I don't know whether I know that this has completely no um, relevance, but if you, yeah, just out of interest, 138, yeah, probably, so. What I'm saying is you can also take Google Trends or something, checking out how much relevance it really has at the very moment. Or maybe also in another way, I mean, how much chess do you watch and how much, whatever, games do you watch? I don't know. Or how much other games do you watch? Okay, guys, we are at an end, but yeah, maybe, I mean, actually it was, yeah, nice like always. So I really enjoyed it. Yeah, before I'm always like, yeah, okay. I mean, actually there's not too much content, but in the end, it's always a nice atmosphere and we can talk about stuff. So yeah, probably I won't disappear for, I mean, that was never the plan, but maybe we can really do that from time to time. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the difficult topics or the topics where I wanted to go very deep, I did in German, as you know, and the reason for that was simply that they were, I could have not expressed myself in English in this regard. But if you ought to have something like this topic, or maybe plans for the weeks to come, or maybe an AMA or something where I keep you updated, so that I don't completely vanish and you don't have any idea. I mean, then there is also my Twitter, which my wife also very often posts stuff on, so you can also be up to date there. But yeah, I will definitely give you updates, so I won't disappear. You will definitely see me streaming from time to time. Yeah, so no worries about that. Yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and have a very nice evening. And hopefully next time, if you have the talk, I can already say some things in Polish to you. See you and bye.